Welcome back. Yeah, so WrestleMania 9. It was this thing that happened, and at the time, I don't know, it felt different, but weird. Jim Ross in a toga, weird. The whole thing from Caesar's Palace in Vegas, which apparently might be the new home for WWE, for those who may not know. Next year's WrestleMania apparently is going to be in Las Vegas as well, which I disagree with. I think that Mania should move around from one city to the next, but at any rate, yeah, WrestleMania 9 from Caesar's Palace. The best match of the night was probably the first match of the night. Yep. 18 minutes and 13 seconds in, Tatanka defeats Shawn Michaels by countout in the Intercontinental title match. And Tatanka was over, Michaels was over. That was a great first match. And actually is followed up by a pretty good tag match as well. 14 minutes and 22 seconds is what it takes for the Steiner brothers to defeat the Head Shrinkers. And that, of course, is Rick and Scott Steiner, who at the time were probably one of my favorite tag teams. This is before Scott got all, before his math got bigger. And so I really liked them. They were very athletic. They moved around the ring really, really well, which I thought as they got bigger, they had more trouble with later on in their careers. But yeah, the Head Shrinkers, this is where the Samoan portion of the program is up until the main event, anyways. Definitely more Samoans, I think, in WWE now than there was back then. But you could see that, there will always be Samoans in WWE as well. So those are two pretty good matches. And I can't find fault. And then 8 minutes and 28 seconds is what it takes for Doink the Clown to beat Crush. Two things with Doink the Clown, if you haven't already watched the Dark Side of the Ring that talks about the man behind Doink's makeup the first time around. It is worthy of a watch. It's sad because it's Dark Side of the Ring, so of course it is. But the original Doink the Clown, the evil that was genuinely, I thought, pretty well done. Because the first time I saw Doink the Clown, I'm like, oh, seriously, they're doing it. Oh, you know what? If he's going to be evil and if he's going to be kind of a little bit crazy, I'm all for that. And then they make him a face, and they'd have like a miniature version of Doink the Clown, and it was like, this is stupid, and I couldn't get past that. So this is before it gets really dumb, and Crush, of course, formerly of Demolition, finding his way at this point in time. 3 minutes and 45 seconds is what it takes for Razor Ramon to defeat Bob Backlund. I will applaud Bob Backlund for coming back into wrestling after just disappearing in the early 80s. When Hulk Hogan was champ, all of a sudden Backlund was out, but Backlund coming back, I thought it was well done. I thought he was a good wrestler. And of course, Razor Ramon would go on to bigger and better things, and eventually we just know him as Scott Hall. 18 minutes and 27 seconds is what it takes for Money Inc. to defeat the Mega Maniacs by disqualification, Hulk Hogan and Brutus Beefcake. If you're like, wait, the heels won by disqualification? Well, yeah, the match involves Hulk Hogan. Of course it did. This was for the tag titles, and I remember being happy at the time. When I was watching this event, I was like, well, at least Hogan doesn't get the big moment here. This is great. Money Inc. keeps the tag belts. Good. That's good. That's, of course, Irwin R. Shyster, IRS, and formerly Mike Rotunda, and Ted DiBiase. So, good. They get to keep the tag belts. Awesome. I had no idea. 10 minutes and 56 seconds is what it takes for Lex Luger to defeat Mr. Perfect. This is in the midst of the narcissist gimmick, which I never thought it was a bit like, and they tried this with Chris Masters too, and it's like, look, a guy having an ego, he's a bad guy. He's a pro wrestler. They're all supposed to have egos. So, and this is before we got into the whole Lex Express part of things, but we'll go through that when we get there. But yeah, Lex Luger defeating Mr. Perfect feels wrong looking back. Kurt Hennig being one of the best pure wrestlers, but he put a lot of guys over. Kurt Hennig was one that put a lot of guys over. I think there'd be a lot of frustration from the internet if there was a guy like Perfect around now who was an excellent wrestler, had the right look, and just wasn't getting the wins. Thankfully, we never see the complaints on the internet about that anymore. All right, Undertaker defeats Giant Gonzalez by DQ. The less said about this match, the better. It took 7 minutes and 33 seconds. It's one of the worst matches in the history of WrestleMania, and it's part of the reason why Undertaker's streak, there's some asterisks, and you'll see as we're going through this year by year, some of Undertaker's wins are impressive, some of them really aren't. And in this case, the the garb worn by the Giant Gonzalez just makes him completely unserious as a wrestler. And he had formerly been El Gigante in NWA WCW. I don't know why he didn't have something similar as his name in WWF, but yeah, Undertaker wins that match, and I think Undertaker himself would probably say the less said about that match, the better. 8 minutes and 55 seconds. Oh, God. Oh, I hate this moment so much. I I have to tell you, this might be my most loathed moment in the history of watching wrestling. This might be the single moment that made me swear and yell the most. Now, it's not Yokozuna beating Bret Hart for the title. That's not it. Yokozuna and Bret had some good fights, and Bret has never said anything bad about Yoko. If you haven't seen the Yoko episode of Dark Side of the Ring, I recommend that. That's great. It's sad because it's Dark Side of the Ring, but yeah, Bret's never had anything bad to say about Yokozuna, and that I know of, anyways. But he's had some negative things to say about Hulk Hogan. So Yokozuna defeats. Oh God, I'm still mad. Yokozuna. How many years ago was this? Anyways, Yokozuna defeats Bret Hart for the WWF title. Well, you can't have an event ending with the bad guy winning, right? Well, you can. We saw that with this year's WrestleMania, but back then, you can't have it end that way. So, a challenge is thrown out. Out comes Hulk Hogan. He gets the blessing of Bret Hart. And in 22 seconds, Hulk Hogan defeats Yokozuna to once again become the WWF champion. And it was looked upon. Now people look at it and go, in retrospect, it was a mistake. At the time, as a wrestling fan, I felt it was a mistake. 22 seconds. Yokozuna wins the belt, and Hulk Hogan has to take that moment away from him. Just has to. And I think I've heard reports that the plan then was for Hogan to work with Bret, but Hogan just gets the belt back, and he's like, "Nah, we won't be doing that." Must be nice. What a horrible finish to the event. And it destroyed what had been actually a pretty good match between Yokozuna and Bret Hart. It did. It destroyed what had been a good match with a good finish, and I would have been very interested in a rematch for the title between the two at the following pay-per-view. But nope. Hulk Hogan comes in. "Oh, I'll just take this belt off your hands. Thanks." And this is where you can get into the discussion about how important wins and losses are in WWF, and they're really not. It's not like Hogan did anything else on the show to warrant this placement other than he's Hulk Hogan. So, there you go. There you go. It's your show again. Got to win the title at Mania. It's Hulk Hogan. People always say, the fans at the time really, really cheered. Yeah, fans in attendance often cheer things that we look back on and go, well, that was stupid. And this is another one of those times. So, interestingly enough, of course, Hulk Hogan does not last as champion for very long. We're not very far away now from him going to WCW. So to this day, I still do not understand what this did other than completely take the spotlight away from what had been a good main event between Yokozuna and Bret Hart so that Hulk Hogan could get his title back. I think it's inexcusable. I think it's inexcusable even now. This is why when I hear, there's a report today that, Vince McMahon isn't talking to Triple H and Steph. You sure? Because they've had their pictures taken together recently, so okay. And Jonathan Coachman's, well, okay. But if let's just go down that rabbit hole and say Vince is not happy with the way WWE's running things, so he's not talking to people. This is how Vince was running things. All right, Hulk, what do you want? Okay, done. Like everybody talks about how Hulk Hogan politicked his way through WCW. This is where he learned it. This is where he learned, I'm the top guy, I'm the top draw. I get whatever I say I want. So this is where that all comes from. So it's a good thing that Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart didn't carry a grudge at all. I mean, Michaels is in the opening match, which, as I said, becomes more and more important in Manias. And there's Bret Hart just being kind of buried by the finish of the event. Stuck around, company guy, and he'd be the top face of the company soon enough. Of course, we don't have Diesel in the picture yet, but we're not far off because we got Razor Ramon. We know that the Clique is becoming a thing as we get into this era. So the 1, 2, 3 Kid is also going to be on this board soon enough. But hey, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. A lot less to say with this WrestleMania. Much shorter, just the 9 matches. And it was bad. I don't know how many ways there are for me to say this was not a good event. The best moments of the night were at the start, and as the show went along, it just got worse. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And I know Korn's Follow the Leader wasn't out at the time this event took place, but we're not far off from Korn's Follow the Leader being a thing. So sure, why not? Thank you guys for all your support. And yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I will talk to you again soon.